Welcome to Monday Muse. Today I was asked to talk about why you can feel like a fraud even when you're successful. How many people can relate to that? I know that I certainly can. In this video, I'm going to give you 4 reasons that you feel like a fraud even when other people think you're successful. And then I'm going to give you some things that you can do about it. Listen, the biggest thing that we have is our experience of our life. So you can have all the success in the world, but if you don't experience it that way, then you're really not having a success because your brain doesn't know different from what you tell it. So it's important to embody your successes rather than giving in to this personality part that says you're a fraud, or else you're going to look back on everything that you've done in your life and never feel truly satiated or satisfied. So let's dive in. The first reason that you might be feeling like a fraud when other people think you're successful, or even you intellectually know you're successful, is that you've been rewarded for how you perform and not who you really are. When I was little, my grandmother used to say if my hair was up, I was a movie star. She would rave and rave and rave. But if my hair was down, I might as well have been a pile of poo. She wanted to convince me to wear my hair up. So that was her technique. Oh, you look so beautiful with it up and down. Ugh. And so I internalized, because this is what we all do. This isn't to say that my grandmother's horrible. My grandmother was one of the most people I loved the most in my life, right? But this is what we do. We get conditioned by these things that people say or people do. I'm doing it to my kids right now. So are you, because that's part of life. None of us are perfect. But these things get lodged and stuck in our subconscious. We learn from a young age that to feel love and safety or approval means we have to be impressive, not necessarily honest. So success can often feel like it belongs to a persona and not the real you that's underneath it. I want you to think about that one for a moment because it's important. If that's you, if that rings true for you, take a minute to think about it, then you really want to sit with that, to feel in to what your next right step might be. The second reason that you might feel like a fraud, even when you're successful, is that your nervous system doesn't recognize safety without struggle. If you're wired for hustle and bracing yourself, then calm and success might feel unfamiliar to you. So instead of basking in it, your body is scanning for what's wrong with this situation. And that cognitive dissonance can feel like, I don't deserve this inside your body. Okay, the third reason that you might feel like a fraud even when you're successful, this is one of my favorite ones, is that you are using your intellect instead of your intuition. Now, here on the Intuition Incubator, of course, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about moving from overthinking to inner knowing. So many people have mastered a strategic mind. We know what to do to create the success, to get the cha-ching. Whether that cha-ching is money or whether it's approval from someone else or an accolade of some kind. But we haven't really gotten to know that deeper, quieter, more authentic part of you that is deep inside you. And when we are disconnected inside of ourselves in that way, it creates doubt because it looks like it's successful on the outside, but inside, we didn't move there intuitively. We thought our way to that. So even when the outside result can look otherwise, inside we're kind of like, I don't know. So for example, if your intellect is telling you, and I have clients do this all the time, this is what success would be, but inside, that's really just a comparison to someone else or a number or something that's kind of empty. And intuitively, you have a different thought or a different feeling or a different knowing, then you're going to feel fraudulent. I mean, how many times have you taken on a client that didn't fit your business model because intellectually you told yourself that success meant a certain amount of money? Intuitively, you knew, this isn't a good fit. This is not the right situation for me, whether it's a client or a job or a marriage for that matter. I think I've done all of those things. The fourth reason that you may be feeling like a fraud, even though you're successful, is that you're still outsourcing your worth. So I always say when other people think you're a rock star, but you feel like a hot mess, it's time to stop proving your worth and start owning your worth. So even when you have the wins, if your sense of value is depending on that win, on the validation of clients or titles or bosses or money or applause, you're going to be vulnerable to feeling like a fraud anytime that external validation wobbles. And I always say this, that our worth at this day and age sort of fluctuates like the stock market. If I had a great day, stocks are up, I feel good. If I had a really wonderful parenting moment, stocks are up, I feel good. If I got dumped, stocks are bad, I feel bad. If I got the promotion, I feel great about myself. If I made a jerk of myself in front of someone, oh my God, now my self-worth is at 0. So you could start out feeling like, I'm a pretty good person. And by the end of the day, you could feel like I'm the most horrible person alive. How can that be? You're the same person from the moment you woke up to the moment you went to sleep. It's because your worth is fluctuating all day long based on what's happening outside you and the external events that are going on. And that's going to cause you to feel like a fraud, because if your worth is that tenuous and your belief in yourself is that tenuous, then even when someone thinks you're doing great or you actually crush it, there's another part of you that says, oh yeah, no, you're not really all that in a bag of chips. You're just settle down. Make sense? Okay, so here's what you can do. Number 1, trade the performance for presence. I talked about this before. I'm going to suggest another video for you to listen on this, but start noticing when you're performing success versus embodying success. I think we all know what that feels like, right? We know what it's like to play the part of success. But are you experiencing success internally as opposed to just looking like the successful person? You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. Just practice being with your truth in that moment. Like that truth, like, I did a good job. Even one breath of honest presence is more powerful than 1,000 perfect words. Here's the second thing you can do if you feel like a fraud. Rewire safety in your nervous system. Now, I've spoken before that our nervous system is wired for fear. It's wired to keep us safe. And so we will often do and say and go after certain successes because we need to belong. We need to feel part of the crowd. We need to feel like we're enough. These are all things that I've talked about before, that many people talk about, that are primal drives that we have, so that peace can feel very foreign inside our body. And if that's the case, when you have success, it's always going to feel a little suspect. So to rewire your nervous system, create these micro moments of safety in your day. The greatest way to do that is doing some breath work, focusing on the area of your heart, breathing in and out, connecting with the part of you that knows what you're here doing and why you're doing it, that knows you're sincere in your effort, in your desire, whatever that is, to be better at whatever it is you're doing, to be the best version of you, whether that's a parent or a leader or an employee, whatever it is. So your nervous system needs to experience the safety, not just hear about it. In other words, you don't want to just say with your brain, oh yeah, I'm safe, I'm safe. You want to actually experience it. And one of the greatest sayings to bring you back to that is to say, in this moment, all is well. And there really is no moment that you are inside and present in that moment that all isn't well. When we start to think about the future or the past, we can start to think all is not well. But in this moment, ask yourself right now, in this moment, all is well. Maybe you're facing, you think, financial ruin, or maybe you're facing a divorce, or maybe you're walking into a big conflict, or you have a lot of fear about something coming up. But in this moment, all is well. If you remember that, it can calm your nervous system down. The other thing is that when you're doing any type of exercise that you've learned, whether it's breath or meditation or a PQ rep, as we call it in positive intelligence, you can rub your 2 fingertips together and bring all of your attention to the ridges of your fingertips, feeling the temperature, the texture. Just bring all of your attention there. Close your eyes. It helps. Anytime you're bringing your brain away from the thing that it's all worked up about and you're bringing it back into your body, you are in the present moment when you start to sense and feel your body. Okay, so the third thing to do if you are suffering from imposter syndrome or feeling like a fraud, even though you're successful, or even if you're not successful, even if you can't convince yourself that you're successful, I guarantee that you are, but even if you can't and you just feel like a fraud, the third thing to do is to resource your identity. Instead of defining yourself by your achievements or what your mind is telling you are your achievements. Instead of defining yourself by your titles or other people's opinions, start identifying yourself with this self that's deeper than all of that. The part of you that is a soul having a human experience here at Earth School. The one that's steady and wise and whole, even when life out there gets messy. Okay, the fourth thing to do if you're feeling like a fraud is to lead with your inner authority. Ask yourself this question: what do I know is true? When I was doing my TED Talk, I was on the stage with a lot of really, really powerful speakers. And of course, all my egoic parts were like, oh, I want to be the best, and I want to do this, and I want to nail that, blah, blah, blah. And so it was getting me all worked up. And that morning before I went on stage, I did an exercise, a really powerful exercise that I teach through Positive Intelligence, which is the work of Shirzad Shamin. And it got me in touch with this deeper self, what we call the I am statement. And what I realized in that moment is that no matter what happened on that stage that day, I knew that I was sincere. And I went through this process and I was like, I am sincere, meaning I'm sincere about getting this message out there. And yeah, some people aren't going to like it. And it was a hard message to talk about. It was like the most humiliating moment of my life. So I knew some people were going to judge me. I always know that 50% are going to love me and 50% are going to hate me, because that's how the universe works. We are 50% good, bad, 50% positive, 50% negative, inside of us and outside of us. Those are just the facts of the universe. But regardless, I was sincere about why I was there and the message that I wanted to put out. So ask yourself, what do I know is true? And then follow that. Because I'll tell you what, when I walked on and off that TEDx stage, I could have been walking in and out of a supermarket. That's how little nerves I had, because I just was so deeply rooted and grounded in that knowing that I was sincere and that no matter what happened, that no one could take that from me. And that was the only thing that mattered to me. And in fact, things didn't go well. I've said before, I lost my way for 26 seconds in the middle of a live audience. I knew they would edit it out, but I was the only speaker that had that experience. And to stand in front of a live audience for 26 seconds and having lost your way, that's a long time. I was just at a group with a lot of speakers that we all get together, and I was saying that and they're like, yeah, that's a long time. It was a long time, but I just was there kind of chilling, waiting for it to come back, waiting for the information to come back, because I wasn't tying my worth to it, because I knew I was sincere. So the more aligned that you get with your own inner compass instead of the external cues, the less space there is for fraud feelings to thrive inside your body. But here's something to think about. What if that gap between what's happening and how you feel is really just feedback? What if there is a part of you that knows that you've outgrown this old costume and it's saying it's time to lead with what's real for you? When you're feeling that imposter syndrome, it's not a flaw, it's a flare. It's a light inside of you that says, hey, take a look at this, because you're probably not living up to where you need to be living up to. You're probably have a dream that's not quite big enough for you. It's a sign that you're living out of sync with your inner authority and that you've put your outer life ahead of your inner alignment. So remember that your value isn't how much you do, impress, or fix. It's who you are when you stop performing. So if you feel like a fraud, don't shame that part of yourself, because that'll just get you deeper into this cycle. Instead, listen to it. Ask it what it's here to show you. It may just be your truth trying to break out through this shell of your success story. If you enjoyed this, then I think you're really going to love my video on why success can feel so empty sometimes. So go ahead and watch that one now. And as always, if you're listening to these muses and you haven't liked, subscribed, or given a review on your favorite podcast method, please do so. It is what gives all of us podcasters and YouTubers the ability to keep bringing the content. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.